we'll just let it go.
Just let it go.
Yeah. So upon arrival, the forensic team was on scene and preparing to process the scene. MPD Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers, advised me he would walk through the scene. Smith and I entered the King Road residence through the bottom floor door on the north side of the building. We then walked upstairs. So they entered in the bottom floor where the two living roommates are, and we're gonna. I think that's where.
No, they walked into the ground floor, which is the second floor. Right?
No, that's not what they say. They entered on the bottom floor door on the north side. They then walked upstairs to the second floor.
Oh, gotcha. All right. And by the way, the roommate, Dylan, was on the second floor. She was not in the basement. She had a room on the second floor. It was the other roommate who was in the basement. There were not two roommates in the bottom floor. One in the bottom, one in the second. So Xana and Dylan on the second floor. That's what makes this next part so gasp-inducing. Like you're going to lose your breath. Okay, yeah, I'm just warning you that this is dramatic.
So Officer Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned through Xana's driver's license and other personal belongings found in the room was Xander Kernoodle's, aka the Kernoodle room. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the southwest of the hallway. As I approached, I could see a body, later identified as Kernoodle's, laying on the floor. She was deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon, i.e. a knife. An edged weapon is a knife. I mean, yes, a sword is an edged weapon as well, but this was not a sword attack. Also in the room was a male, later identified as Ethan Chapin, or Chapin, or Chapin, however you say it. I'm just saying Ethan, right? Ethan was also deceased with wounds later determined to be...
So it's interesting they say he was in the room.
Caused by sharp force injuries.
It's interesting that he was in the room because I know there was a whole lot of speculation that he may have been in the hallway on his way out or whatever, but not in the hallway, in the room.
Right, in the room with her. I then followed OFC Smith upstairs to the third floor of the residence. The third floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom was on the west side of the floor, was later determined to be Kaylee Goncalves, or Goncalves, right? Gonzalez, whatever you want to say it.
I don't know.
The Goncalves room.
I give up. Call her Kaylee.
Kaylee's room. I later learned from a view of the body camera, there was a dog in the room, and everyone was so worried about this dog. I'm going to tell you right now, Megan. Yes, they were like, is Murphy okay? Did Murphy get got? I'm like, he did not. He was fine. The addendum to this story is I think he's proper, the proper owner, I guess, or the ex-boyfriend Jack. So the dog belonged to Goncalves and her ex-boyfriend Jack Ducour. So I believe Jack has Murphy right now. But I found out from an interview of Jack on November 13th that he and Gonzalez, I'll say Gonzalez, shared the dog. O.C. Smith then pointed to a small bathroom on the east side of the third floor. This bathroom shared a wall with Madison Mogan's. Hereinafter, the Mogan bedroom, which was situated on the southeast corner of the third floor. As I entered this room, I could see 2 females in a single bed in the room. Both Gonzalez and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side. The sheath was later produced and had K-bar or USMC and the United States Marine Corps Eagle Globe and anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. The Idaho State Lab later identified a single source of male DNA suspect profile left on the button snap of the knife sheath. Okay, I want to stop here for a second. So just pure speculation, because at this point, I want to, we're reading a story and your mind goes places, right? Your mind tries to come up with fill in the blank, right? When you read about this knife sheath, do you think it was left there intentionally or accidentally? What did you think when you read that piece of the story?
When I heard that the sheath was there, I thought, fuck, that's fantastic. He dropped it, didn't know it was there. What did I mean, yeah. I'm imagining he didn't leave it there on purpose. It was an accident. It was dark. He didn't have any lights on. In the heat of this is the 4th person he's killed now. It's come loose from his belt somehow and landed on the floor or on the bed. Did it say on the bed or on the floor?
Well, it said on the bed next to Mogan.
Next to Mogan. Okay, so it's on the bed. So somehow, as he's over her, it comes undone from his belt, and he doesn't notice, and it's too late. He's out of there before he even notices. That is a very big lucky break for the police, because without that piece of evidence, I'm not saying they couldn't get him, because there's a whole lot of other circumstantial evidence, and people have been convicted on circumstantial evidence alone.
Oh yeah, very circumstantial evidence. Yes.
Yeah, and there's a whole lot of that in this, but with the DNA on the buckle snap, the snap of the thing, which takes the knife out of the sheath. So the only person that's going to have his finger on that button that undoes it is the guy using it. Like it's a great, this, you couldn't write a novel like this. It's
yeah. That part of like that part is the most, I think, damning evidence that we have here, is that button snap sheath found right next to the body, thing. And I think exactly what you said. I think the guy, he was maybe like, holding her down. I don't know whether, he was like on top of her, next to her, whatever, holding her down, in the process of stabbing, whatever, and it came loose, right? Maybe she was flailing, defensively and ripped it off, whatever. He didn't notice that, the knife was already taken out of the sheath.
Yes.
It's removed, and he didn't even think about it. He was just thinking about getting the hell out of it.
And by the way, the chat wants to know if Steve ever found his K-bar. He did not. He was looking for it while he was on the stream with me. His K-bar, which is exactly like the one described, in a brown leather sheath and everything, went missing, supposedly.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So Steve Gosney's K-bar, which matches the description of this murder weapon, is missing.
Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. And if you guys don't know what a K-bar just generally looks like, there's like a generic K-bar photo. So don't kill me, guys, here if you're like, that's not exactly the murder weapon.
Actually, Steve showed it to me. That was exactly like the one he had. That's exactly the same picture. He believes it probably looks like that. He showed us a different type of knife that he has, which is the same type. It is a K-bar, but it wasn't the one with the brown leather sheath. It was a black sheath. But yeah, he showed us that on my stream earlier today.
Yeah. It's that, yes, uncivil. Steve Gosney is the one who did it for sure. So this is definitely not a spoon. This is a real knife, a real big knife.
A real big knife.
So
Steve showed a similar knife, and I was shocked by how big it was. When I see that picture, Andrew, I don't know about you, but when I see that picture, it just doesn't give the actual size of the knife. I mean, and Steve holding it up to the camera, I mean, this was a big blade, a very big blade. Can do a lot. And he made the point, and it's a very good one. Steve is so smart. A K-bar is designed specifically to kill a human being. It is a military knife. It has a guard, as you can see on that picture.
A little bit of a size comparison. You can see a hand right there. So obviously,
it's a very big knife.
This is a fucking big knife. It's not a small knife,
And it has a guard, a thumb guard. So he said it would be, we were all like, how could you get through 4 people with a knife and not cut yourself, not get injured? He doesn't appear to be injured. His hands look fine. His, wrists look fine. Everything looks fine. But he said these knives they're made for killing human beings. So, they have very good grips, and he's not surprised by that at all. Apparently, Steve Gosney knows a lot about killing people with a knife.
Well, I mean, it's a popular way to kill a person, and especially like if you're in a situation, a lot of people, I think, in Andrew Branca, I've talked about this with him. I see Uncivil in chat. I know we've talked about it. A lot of us lawyers talk about it. People downplay the dangerousness of knives. People are all about guns. Knives can be just as deadly, and in some cases more deadly, if you are in a close proximity to someone. If I'm arm's distance from you, it is more dangerous if I have a gun than a knife. A knife than a gun, right? The knife is going to be more deadly than the gun because you probably can't react, draw your gun, fire, and shoot. If I'm within arm's distance, I'm probably able to kill you before that.
It turns out that this knife killing is very quick, because I did the math. I went through all the times in this affidavit they got the time of death down to between 4 4 a.m. and 4:20, but they believe that Xana was active on TikTok still at 4:12.
I saw that 4:17
So,
or 4:12. We'll get to that.
4:12, 4:12. So we're
Yeah.
talking this person, whoever did it, managed to kill 4 people in 7 minutes because
Yep.
he was on camera at 4:20 racing out of the neighborhood.
Yep.
7 minutes, 4 people. Andrew, tell me how?
Well, once again, knife attack. You're quick, and it also, if you've thought about it, if you've thought about how you're doing it, if you've gone through the scenarios,
Scary.
Very, very possible. So let's go into the timeline here, because this gets the timing that you said, which is kind of crazy. At first, I thought it was the entire night. A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Kernoodle's phone shows that this could have been Kernoodle, as her cell phone indicated she was likely awake and using the TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. And the police aren't the only ones that know she's using TikTok. Xi Jinping is watching, guys.
Yep. Chinese
Xi
spy
Jinping
app.
is watching you on that
Get
app.
off TikTok.
If you want, if you're gonna do it, through a browser with a VPN, but even then, I would.
Speaking of VPNs, would you tell me which one's your favorite? Because that came up today, and I have no idea.
Really, I've used the same one, so I'm kind of like, I've been using one, and if you have one VPN, why do you need more than one, right? And I never got lured in. I got a good deal on Viper VPN way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's worked for me for 3-4 years now, until it ceases to function. I'm gonna use it to obsolescence. I paid for it, and it's like, okay, well, I paid money for this. It was a one-time payment, so I paid money one time. I'm in. That's all I need.
Awesome.
But if you guys have a better recommendation or one that has better functionality, I'm willing to listen. But at the same point, I really only use a VPN when I'm doing very specific things.
We will not take any guesses what those things are.
Drama in the front, party in the back. I heard BK frequented AutoZone and Barnes and Nobles. Well, then she's guaranteed to find a hunk. I mean, I've heard there's a guy.
I think he means the murderer. I think he means the suspect.
The murderer frequented AutoZone. You have a way to pick up criminology students. People say ExpressVPN. I mean, Nord is the one that I thought everybody would be saying because they shill everywhere. All right. So DM stated she looked out of her bedroom and did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. DM stated she opened her door a second time. So she's now opened her door, looked, then opening a second time. We closed the door, opened it again.
Comes the second time.
When she heard someone she thought was crying coming from Kernoodle's room. DM then said she heard a male voice saying something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm gonna help you."
Oh dear God.
This is the equivalent of like, "Shh, go to sleep." Like that's some creepy shit right there, especially if you don't recognize the voice.
I think she knew something was wrong. I mean, you're not poking your head out of your room every couple of minutes because you think everything's fine. So obviously her instincts, her animal instincts are telling her there's some shit going down and we're trying to warn you. Like she should be able to feel it at this point. Like that something's off. It's off. You've looked out your door 2 times now. She still hasn't called 911, but we are still not at the what the fuck moment for me. We're almost there.
Yeah. At 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest, picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. So if it's loud enough to be heard nearby,
and the camera was 50 yards away.
50 feet.
Wait,
away,
50 feet.
Yards.
Sorry, 50 feet away. Very close by. And if that and Xana's room is directly across from what's her name? Dylan, directly across. So if the camera picked it up, she had to have heard the thud and the whimper.
Had to have heard that.
And the voices. She heard a fight. She heard it. And
then you've got the dog, which Murphy, who's barking.
Murphy's doing his job, and Murphy's a puppy, by the way. And here's Murphy trying to alert everyone in the house that, oh my God, now the dog feels it. The dog knows something bad is happening. Like dogs know, they feel these things. Dog is barking. You've heard thumping. You've heard crying. You've heard a male voice you may not recognize. You also heard someone say someone's in the house or someone's here, and you still have not called 911.
Right. Right. So at this point, she's not done any of these things. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of the criminal's bedroom. DM stated she opened the door for a third time
3 times
after she heard the crying. And here you go. So she open, close, third time. There's a figure in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. She described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, RIP, definitely not a Chad, but athletically built and with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM as she stood in frozen shock phase, which I do believe. If you see something surprising, you can be frozen.
But if she described it that she was frozen in shock, then she knew damn well something was very, very wrong.
Yes.
And
the male walked towards the back sliding glass door. DM locked herself in her room after seeing the male. DM did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe the murderer left the scene. So she sees all of this.
She doesn't call.
All of this.
The police were not called until 8 hours later, and she had to call a friend first. And here's what I believe happened. I believe that whatever happened maybe traumatized her. Maybe she was traumatized by it, knew something horrible had happened, and was unable to act. But she called a friend before the police 8 hours later, and then the friend comes, sees Ethan. They all run out of the house. They don't even know there's other bodies in the house, apparently, and then calls the police. Why wait? I don't know. I can't answer that question. Why would you wait to call 911? Was she so traumatized by what happened that she was unable to? Did her brain shut down? I don't know. But that was my what the fuck moment. Was he came toward her, a man in black wearing a mask, and towards the sliding door, and she had heard all the crying and the thumping and and all of that, and nothing. Nope. Didn't call the police. Not 911. Now look, I do have to say though, be a little easy on her. Be a little easier on her, because here's the thing. If she had called the police, they wouldn't have been able to save any. Well, if any of them were still alive, they might have been able to save them. But he did this in 7 minutes. Do you think, how long, Andrew, does it take the police to get to from wherever they are to Kaylee's house?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, look, this is a town where there's like freaking 6 cops and 3 horses, right? You know, so like,
and they're always responding to college kids drunk doing stupid things.
Right. And to be fair, and this is something that was brought up on Rumble, and shout out to Rumble. They've actually been. Let me give you a special shout out to Rumble. They've been really good lately in fixing some issues I've had with them. So I do appreciate Rumble being real. But they did point out that the girl was probably drunk, right? That DM